The ability to just sit down and focus is becoming one of the most valuable skills you can have. It's also becoming one of the most rare. This is a competitive advantage that will make you exceptional because by definition, you will be the exception. If you can't sit down to focus, there's just not that many things that you can do. Now, this has taken me from being so distracted that I was diagnosed with ADD to becoming so focused that I could do things like spending 4 hours a day learning Spanish for over 150 days. So this is why you're getting distracted and this is how you can fix it. The first huge thing that we're getting distracted on is these attention pulls. When you think about sitting down and doing work and getting distracted, oftentimes this happens because we have some sort of stimulus in our environment that takes us from what we're currently doing out of it to pay attention to something else. When you think about the people that get the most done, the most focused people, how do you think that their office setup looks like? How do you think their work setup looks like? Do you think it's really noisy? Do you think it's really messy? Do you think there's lots of things going on? Or do you think it's really quiet and really still? It's probably really quiet and really still. There's probably not a lot going on. In fact, there's probably nothing happening except for the work, the task at hand. And the problem for a lot of us is we have environments where there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distractions, there's a lot of things pulling your attention away from what you're currently doing. And if you can create an environment that makes it really, really easy to do the work because there's nothing pulling you out of the task at hand, it's so much easier to stay focused. I think one of the huge attention pulls, in fact, the biggest attention pull is communication, specifically communication on our devices. Now, it's fantastic that we can communicate with anyone all across the globe whenever we want, but it also means that we're getting bombarded with messages all the time. If you're someone who's constantly looking at notifications, constantly checking and responding to messages, it just doesn't give you the time, attention, and focus to really put into the things that matter. If you think, okay, I'm gonna enter a deep work block, I'm gonna get a lot done until my phone yells at me, what are you gonna get done? Because sure, maybe your phone dings and you don't check it, but there's still a little part of your mind going, what if that was important? What if someone messaged me and they really need my help? You're thinking about this right now. I think a lot better way of going about this is attacking this from positions of leverage. Now, this is the way I think about it. Do I have to do this task? I think about this for every task, by the way. Do I have to do it? Can I delete this completely? Can this be a task that just doesn't exist in my life? Well, when it comes to communicating with other people, I probably do need to do this. Okay, so I can't just delete it completely. That's not an option. Can I delegate this? Do I personally have to be the one that is responding to people? Do I have to be the one doing this? Generally, yes. Unless you want to have no mates, unless you want to, have a VA in the Philippines respond to your friends in the group chats, probably not. I probably can't delegate it, or I can't delegate the majority of this stuff. Can I batch this? Do I have to do these one at a time? When I receive a message, do I have to instantly respond to it? Or can I respond to all of my messages at the same time? Yes, I absolutely can. And this is where we're going to get a lot of focus back by batching our communication. Now, this is how I think about it. I break my communication down into 3 different categories. I have high priority platforms, I have medium priority platforms, and I have low priority platforms. Now, basically the priority of the platform determines how often I check it, how often I'm putting time and attention into this platform. So if we start off here, we have the high priority platforms. For this, I only use one thing. Only one thing belongs in the high priority platform because I check this more regularly. I check this 4 times a day. So because I eat 4 meals a day, this is very simple for me. I just habit stack it and I go, okay, during or after every meal, I will check this high priority platform. Now for me, this high priority platform is text messages. Now you can choose whatever platform you want. I would try and be smart about this. The reason I choose text messages is that only the people that are genuinely important to me have my phone number. So if you're messaging me on some other platform, it's generally not as important. So I keep this to one platform, absolutely no more than one, and I'll check this 4 times a day. 4 times a day I'll check this. Second, we have the medium priority platforms. I'll check these, or this will be 2 to 3 platforms. 2 to 3 platforms will be my medium priority. For me right now, this is Facebook Messenger and it's WhatsApp. Generally, these are things like your group chats, things where There are more communal social things going on. They're not that high priority. They're something you can check once a day and it will be absolutely fine. And that's what I do. I check this one time a day. Generally, I do this at the end of the day in my last meal. I can habit stack. I do my last of the messages and I do my medium priority platforms, my group chats, things like that. Finally, I have the low priority platforms. This is where the rest goes. Every single other platform that I have goes into these low priority platforms. Now, really important thing here is think about leverage. Think about the leverage here. Can I delete? It's the first question you always have to ask. Do I need all of these platforms? A good example for me is that I used to use Snapchat. Snapchat was something that I messaged people on, I had group chats on, and I thought, okay, do I really need this platform? Is there anyone here that can't communicate with me unless I get a Snapchat from them? The answer was no. So I could delete it. The goal was to have as fewer platforms as possible to communicate on, but the rest go in here. Low priority platforms, I check these once a week. Only once a week I'll check this. The reason is I don't need to be checking these things. I don't need to be allocating time and attention to these all the time. Now, there's really only two low priority platforms for me, and that is Instagram messages and emails. Everything else sits in high, medium, or it's been deleted. Because we're trying to reduce the surface area. We're trying to reduce the surface area of communication so I can get this done as quickly as possible. Now you might think, okay, this just seems kind of cold. This seems, not very nice. The reality is for me, I don't really care about communicating with people online. If I'm trying to build a relationship, build friendships, be around other people, I do this in real life. I'm not trying to build a great friendship with someone on a group chat or on messages. That's just not how I do it. If I want to experience someone, if I want to have fun with them, if I want to be friends with them, I do this in real life, in the real world, not on pixels on a screen. That's why I think I really don't have to check this that often. It's quite a low ROI activity. Unless you're doing things like organizing to catch up with people, meet up with people, I don't see a whole lot of point in doing a lot of this messaging stuff. So this is why I created this priority system so that I'm allocating the least amount of time possible to things that aren't big needle movers, but things that are definitely distracting us, things that are taking us away from the work that we're currently doing. If you set up your communication like this, I bet you'll find that it's a lot easier for you to stay focused because there's one less thing to be distracted on and one massive thing that most of us are being distracted on. I mean, how many of us, even if you're in a conversation with someone, you're face to face with someone, you stop the conversation because you hear a buzz. You might not do it, but I bet you see other people do it, and I bet you it doesn't feel so good. I bet you feel like, okay, this person clearly values the notification on their phone more than they value me. Well, you're essentially saying the same thing about your work. You're saying, I value this notification on my phone more than the work I'm doing. We need to change this. We need to fix this because this is not the most important thing in your life. This can be batched. This does not have to be done immediately. This should be batched or it should be deleted completely. Now, do I have notifications for low priority platforms? No, I don't need them. Do I have notifications for medium priority platforms? No, I don't need them. Do I have notifications for high priority platforms? No, I don't need them. I don't need notifications because I know I'm checking them enough that I'm not missing anything important, but I'm also saving myself the hassle of taking me out of the focus that I currently have. And that is really damn important because I know I'm checking this 4 times a day. If someone really needs to get through to me that has my phone number, they'll just call me. How many times have you received a text message that hasn't been followed up with a call that you absolutely needed right then and there? Never. I bet you that has never happened for anyone watching this video. So yes, move these into priority platforms, check these based on the priority, but nothing should have notifications. Now this is great because now you don't have a physical environment that is telling you to take your attention elsewhere, but think about your internal environment. Think about your attention span. Do we have an attention span that allows us to genuinely focus? Because for a lot of us, the answer is no. If your brain is providing you triggers to stop what you're doing and move elsewhere, then fantastic, your environment isn't telling you to do that, but your internal environment absolutely is. So this is the big next step that we have to do is we have to make sure we have an internal environment that can actually focus on a task and doesn't want you to get distracted. Now, if you're trying to focus, if you're trying to not be distracted, generally what you're doing is you're trying to focus on one individual task for an hour, maybe multiple hours on end. But what are we training our brain to do? Most of us are training our brain to focus on hundreds of different tasks per hour, hundreds of little different things that actually feel really good. For example, if you're someone who binge watches a lot of YouTube videos, you're watching maybe 10 different contexts per hour, 10 different things going on, switching and jumping around, and it's really easy and it feels really fun, really nice. Same thing with binge watching a bunch of TV shows. If you're someone who scrolls, if you're someone who's scrolling TikTok, scrolling short form content, generally on average, you're scrolling every 8 seconds. This is 450 different contexts per hour, and it's really easy and it feels really good. Then you sit down to do some work, which is really hard and doesn't feel so good, and your brain goes, no way. No way, I need to find a way out. I need to find something else to do. Your brain is cueing, causing triggers for you to try and do something else, for you to try and get out of this task. And this is a huge, huge way that we're getting distracted. So how do we train our brain to just want to do one thing, to just focus on individual tasks rather than hundreds of different things, to train our brain to not want to run away and be distracted? Well, first thing and most obvious thing is we have to stop training our brain to want to be distracted, to want to switch and change around all the time. Specifically, we need to stop scrolling. We need to stop doing things that are providing us a lot of different contexts, a lot of different pieces of information per hour. Because all we're doing is saying to our brain, you should feel really good when you jump around, hop around, do a bunch of different things. The more that we can remove of this stuff, the better we're gonna be. Now, I'm not gonna go into huge detail about how to get rid of this stuff in this video because I have an entire free community where I show you how to get rid of any online entertainment for good without requiring willpower. So I'll leave a link in the description below if you wanna delve deeper into that specific topic. Realistically, that is gonna be the best thing that you can do to improve your attention span, improve your focus, and not get distracted. After we create this environment where we don't have the high stimulus, high frequency activities, what we can do is we can train boredom. Boredom is actually a really, really great asset that we can leverage to stop ourselves from getting distracted. If I locked you in a room right now and I said, okay, you can either do the task that you've been putting off for ages, or you can do nothing. You can stare at a brick wall. What are you gonna do? You might last 2 minutes of staring at that brick wall, but eventually you're going to do the work. And the reason is, the discomfort of the boredom is now outweighing the discomfort of taking on a challenging task. And it really doesn't take long before this is the case. So if your situation is either you can do the work or you can do nothing, the boredom is actually an incredibly painful feeling that we don't like feeling. And this is why we chase these high stimulation, high frequency activities, because we're trying to run away from boredom all the time. But if we can leverage boredom and go, okay, you can either be bored or you can do the work, eventually you're just gonna do the work. And we're actually just training our brains to be bored, training ourselves to improve our attention span. So it's either you focus and do the task or you do nothing. And of course, the biggest, the number one thing you can do is remove the high stimulation stuff. But if we can put ourselves in situations where we can either be bored or we can do the work, we're going to significantly improve our attention span. It's going to really, really decrease the likelihood that we do get distracted. Now your physical environment is not distracting you. Now your mental environment is not distracting you. Last thing we need to do is make sure that when we're actually doing the task and we're being focused, the work itself is not distracting us. I think this is the one that people most overlook. And when we can tie these three together, this is where we really, really get focused. So if we think about what we're doing, the tasks and the work that we have to do, when we finally actually get to the point that we're doing them and we're not completely distracted, what we'll find is that there's lots of different tasks. There's never just one thing to do. There's always hundreds of little tasks. And the problem is that we have no priority. We have no idea of what we're going to do. We just go, okay, there's a bunch of tasks I have to do, but I don't know when to do them. And what happens is we end up doing the easy tasks. When something gets tough, we jump to another one, and we never truly get one thing done and move on to the next thing. If you look like this right now and you're trying to juggle 100 of different tasks, this looks stressful. I don't want to be doing this. This looks really, really anxious. This looks like I have no idea what's going on. If rather than that, you look like this, you just focused on one thing, and when that one thing was done, then you moved on to the next, you would be far less distracted in your work. You would probably get the things done that actually matter, and you'd move forward far faster than doing this. Not only because you have better clarity on the work, but also because you're in the right frame of mind. Generally, different tasks require different mental states. For example, with this video here, I first had to decide the idea of the video. That's one task. Then I had to put the bullet points together for what I wanted to talk about. That was another task. Then I had to record the video. That was another task. Then I had to make the thumbnail. Although, do I have to do the thumbnail? No, I can delegate this. There's someone better at doing this than me, so I delegated that. And then finally, it has to be posted, okay? These are different tasks. If I'm recording 3 videos a week, do I really have to ideate one video and then switch tasks to recording another video and then switch tasks to doing the dot points for another video and then switch tasks to getting my thumbnail editor to do that video? Or can I just go, okay, I have to record 3 videos. Why don't I batch this task? Very important thing to do. Why don't I ideate my 3 videos, and then when that task is done, I move on to doing the dot points for the 3 videos, and then when that's done, I move on to filming the 3 videos, and then once that's done, I move on to the next task. What happens is I'm in the state of mind to do one task, to do one thing, and then when that thing is over, then I can switch my frame of mind to another thing. Rather than hopping around and doing task and task and task and switching and switching and switching, I just focus on doing one thing, and then when that's done, I move to the next one. Far, far less overwhelming. Also less likely for when you get overwhelmed and scared about a task for you to just jump ship and do something completely different. Keeping yourself in the flow state of doing one task, one frame of mind, and then switching over. Now, this is fundamentally how we stop our environment from distracting us, how we stop our mind from distracting us, and how we stop our own work from distracting us. So if you found this video interesting and valuable, then there's probably a video right here that you might also find interesting and valuable. So I will see you there.